Welcome back to the Bluechip Breakdown, Vols fans. I'm your host, Bull. I hope everyone had a great weekend and Mother's Day. In today's video, we will be breaking down our roster and recruiting for running backs and cornerbacks. We're continuing this series. Please make sure to like and subscribe. Let's go ahead and jump into it. All right, so starting off with the running back current roster. For the seniors, we've got Patrick Wilk, who is a redshirt junior. Now, he's more of a walk-on body, but we've seen some good things from him in the orange and white game, things like that. And then we've got for the juniors, Dylan Sampson. We all expect for him to be the starter. Really love what he's going to be bringing to the table because he's a guy that can hit those home runs. You know, he had the second highest yards per carry average last season with like 5.5, something like that. He didn't get a whole lot of touches, but we love what he does, can catch the ball out of the backfield well, and it sounds like he's really embracing his role as the guy this season. Can he pick up in pass protection is going to be my biggest question. The next player that is a junior is going to be Hunter Barnes. He's a redshirt sophomore, and Hunter Barnes is another walk-on body, but he's another one just like Patrick Wilk that I like what I've seen from him so far. I think that if we really got into a tight bind, we could put him in, and our offense might not take a big step back. It's really more predicated off of the way that the formations are set up, things like that, especially with everything else that we have on the outside. You would expect for Hunter Barnes just to be able to get his, probably going to average somewhere around that 5 yards per carry mark. Now on to the sophomores. This is where most of the talent is on this roster. Cam Seldon, who is a guy that, he's got an injury right now. We are expecting that he's going to be back sometime in September. The sooner he gets back, the better, because he's a bigger body guy that can do it all. I really think that he could end up being the best running back that Coach Heupel has had up on campus since he's been with us in Knoxville. Next player is going to be Khalifa Keith. Now, he's a bigger body back, 6'1", 230 pounds. He's about the same size as a Cam Seldon. Cam Seldon, 6'2", about 225, close to 230, 4'2" guy. I would say that Keith is, more of like 4'5"-ish guy, but he's going to be that short yardage player. And it seems like to me, just from everything that I've seen so far, that he is going to be really good in pass protection. We saw him in that orange and white game running with a lot more power. That's what we need from him. Now, next is going to be Deshaun Bishop. He got very high praises coming out of last spring, and I believe in summer he got hurt. That injury took him out for that entire season. But coming back now, looks like he's going to be running back number 2, at least until Cam Seldon gets back. He's another home run threat. But because him and Dylan Sampson are so similar in size, I've kind of voiced some concerns with, that aspect of it. I would really like to see Khalifa Keith kind of step up for us and kind of be that change of pace that I feel like we need playing in the SEC. Now on to the freshman. Peyton Lewis can also be that change of pace because he's a bigger body guy, also a track guy, about 6'1", 220 pounds at this point. He should be ready to participate in summer ball, and if he is, that's going to be huge for this team moving forward. I think that he's very similar to a Cam Seldon in his body type, in his speed, in his home run threat, all that. He's more of a 3-down back, from as far as what we would consider that normally, right? He's just got that bigger body, and it sounds like he could probably withstand that beating that he's probably going to be getting in the SEC a lot better than some of the smaller guys. But also keep in mind, guys, just because we spread the field out so much, it's not going to be too much wear and tear, and we do have some really good bodies inside of this room. So I'm not too concerned, especially knowing that Cam Seldon should be back around September. We don't know at what point in September, but I think that our first game is going to be in September. So he's going to be back for the early part of the season. The goal sounds like it's for the Oklahoma game. If he can come back, if he can come back maybe a week or two before that, and maybe the week leading into the Oklahoma game, get some burn, get some reps, kind of knock that rust off, keep himself or get himself really into game playing shape, then we're going to be just fine versus Oklahoma. I think that we're going to beat them anyway, just, full disclosure on that. But let's go ahead and jump on to the recruiting for our running backs. And something that I didn't touch on with the current running back room is that we have 7 players. We are anticipating that we might lose Dylan Sampson. Feels like if he has a good year, he is looking to go into the NFL. But as far as recruiting goes, we do have one commit for running backs, and that's Justin Baker. That's my dog from Buford High School, 3-star. I believe that he is going to be a 4-star or maybe even better whenever it's all said and done. I feel like this season he's really going to break out. He's a track guy, about 5'9", 5'10", 200-plus pounds, and he's built like a rock. I mean, he fits what we want in a running back to a T. And on to the players that are not committed. We have Shakai Mills-Knight. Now, he is from Baylor School or Baylor High School there in Tennessee. He is supposed to be coming up on a visit June the 14th, 6'2", 200-plus pounds. I saw him, there was a clip with him, and he was kind of like behind our current running backs, and he's just a lot bigger than everyone that we have inside that room. So that would be huge if we could add him. The next player is going to be Marquise Davis. Now, he's a 4-star. He is committed to Kentucky, but I do believe that he will still be coming up for his OV June the 21st. I would love to be able to close out this running back room with a player like Marquise Davis or with Shakai Mills-Knight, who the staff definitely covets, just to add another body to Justin Baker. I believe that we'll only be adding one unless there's maybe another player on top of the two that we will end up adding that just, the staff can't pass up, and then maybe we'll go on ahead and add 3. The next player is going to be LaDainian Martin, who's a 3-star. Sounds like he is kind of leaning maybe towards Tennessee, but we will see how things progress as time goes on. I don't think that he's set up any visits with Tennessee. So that's what I'm really looking for at this point in the game. We've got to get guys up on some visits because, guys will be committing over the summer, most of them anyway. We'll see what happens with him. Next player is Dwayne Morris, who is committed to Southern California. He's one that Tennessee really loves. So, he's an in-state guy, and we thought that we were going to be able to land him, but maybe he wants to go out west. But he's, same thing. I think that the staff is going to continue to recruit him just like everybody else because the plan has got to be to bring in 2 running backs for this class. Now on to the last player, who is Todd Robinson. He's another 3-star running back. He's from South Georgia. It sounds like he's a UGA lean. I wouldn't be surprised to see Tennessee make some, legway with a player like Todd Robinson just because, he's going to want to get out on the field. Probably going to have a much better chance to do that at Tennessee, where we don't have a very deep running back room just as far as bodies. And really, I would say it's not as necessarily talented as UGA's room is. UGA's room is nothing but 5 stars and 4 stars. Now, I do think that the players that we bring up on campus or that we already have on campus will perform to that level. But maybe Todd says, hey, I don't want to do too much competing with the room that typically is only rotating, maybe 2 backs. The third guy might get in some mop-up duty type of a situation. Whereas Tennessee, 3 guys will get rotated. And maybe he says, man, I think that I can come in and compete early inside of Tennessee's room over Georgia's room. And plus, Kirby Smart's an absolute joke, right? Or I'm sorry, not joke, but jerk. Well, he's a joke and he's a jerk. Maybe Todd will, not like the way that Kirby Smart is handling him. I've been hearing that a lot from players that are either committed to UGA or that a lot of the experts think are leaning towards UGA. So don't count Tennessee out with Todd Robinson. Let's go on ahead and flip the page to our cornerbacks. And this is a room that a lot of people have some question marks about. And I think that the main reason for the question marks is because we are so young. It's a new influx of talent, not a whole lot of proven talent. So for the seniors, we've got Jalen McMurray, who's a transfer from Temple. Really liked his game. I think he was playing more of a nickel at Temple, but he looked very physical. He looked like he had great technique, great fundamentals. Sounds like whenever he came up on his visit that he was a little bit undersized compared to what he was listed at. But I think he's got to be close to that 6-foot mark, maybe a shade up under that. He should be able to provide some good quality depth for our cornerbacks this season. I don't think that he's going to start, but maybe worse into that 4 deep. The next player is going to be Christian Charles, who's another redshirt junior. Now, the biggest question for all of us is he going to be healthy, number one? And then is he going to be playing corner, which he has played before, or is it going to be star, or is it going to be one of the safety positions? He might end up playing safety just because I think we're a little bit shorter-handed inside of that room compared to corner, but he can play the cornerback position at a high level if he is healthy. On to the juniors, we've got Carson Whitehead, who is a walk-on. He's a redshirt sophomore. Don't expect for him to be playing too much. Same thing for Malik Gonaway. He actually looked pretty good, I would say, throughout all of spring. I think he's a guy that if we absolutely had to throw him out there, we could, but he would be doing a whole lot more of, like zone. It wouldn't be a whole lot of that man-to-man stuff. He's also a redshirt sophomore. Now on to Christian Harrison, who sounds like he's been moved over to, I believe, safety this season, or maybe it's star, but he can play corner. Another versatile player inside of this room. He is the son of Rodney Harrison, who is at some point going to end up being a Hall of Fame safety, played with the Patriots for a long time, won several Super Bowls. He knows how to play ball. We know their family pretty well. Now on to the sophomores. We've got Jamard McCoy, who I believe is going to be the best cornerback on this team. You saw him over there at Oregon State. Just shutting down pretty much everybody. We broke down the film of him versus Washington and that great second, or not great secondary, but that great wide receiving core with some really good tight ends as well. A lot of those players that got drafted, he shut down everybody. So he's a guy that I would expect as a true sophomore to probably be one of the better cornerbacks in the entire country. Really looking forward to him. He's got great size, great length, about 6'2", maybe 200 plus pounds, and he's an absolute technician. I'm very excited to see what he does. In one more year of getting better in a college system, especially in the SEC. Now, the player that I think will be playing on the other side of Jamal McCoy is going to be Ricky Gibson. He is a great player, very similar just as far as the length that a Jamal McCoy has. He's not as big. Maybe he needs to gain a little bit more weight. I would expect that that's going to be something that he's focusing on this offseason, but you love his willingness to come up and be physical, and he stays on top of routes great. A lot of folks thought that the next player, Jordan Matthews, was going to be the guy in that class to, kind of be the guy, right? Like we felt like he was going to be the starter. And I think that he still has that type of talent. He just has to do a better job of staying on top of routes. It's what we're seeing a lot more from Jamal McCoy and Ricky Gibson. If Jordan Matthews figures that out, he's going to be just as good as either one of them. He might be a little bit taller than Ricky Gibson, about the same height as like Jamal McCoy. Really long. I love his skill set. Also very willing to come up and be physical at the point of contact. Now on to the freshman. We've got Boo Carter, who's actually playing at star. I think that he could end up being a starter at that position at some point this season. The insiders, the experts have been talking about him a whole lot of high praises, but he could also play cornerback. If we need him to, he can most definitely do it. At about 5'11", I believe is what he's listed at. Just love his skill set, great footwork, great hips, everything that you would want in a cornerback. He definitely has that. Now, the next player is going to be Caleb Beasley, who is hurt, but we don't know. I mean, it does sound like he could be back before the season starts. That would be huge for us. I think he had like a broken leg or a fracture or whatever, but he is expected to be back at some point this season. He's the son of a coach, and I love what I saw from him on film coming out of high school. I think that he could play at this level. He has really good size. He's got to be about 6'1", close to 200 pounds, and he's another technician, very willing to come up and be physical. Does a great job in coverage, whether it's man or whether it's zone, if it's squatting, if it's playing deep. He does it all at a really high level. So we need for him to come back because you're going to need that depth and inside of this room for sure. Next player is going to be Marcus Gorey Jr. Now, he was the teammate his senior season with Boo Carter. Love both of these guys. I thought that Marcus Gorey would be more of a safety body just because he is so physical. I didn't see a whole lot of him in coverage, and it's more of the scheme that they played at his high school as opposed to what his actual talent level is. But what I've seen from him so far in the orange and white game and throughout all of spring camp is that he can play cornerback. It's a very, unique and specialized skill set. It's probably the most difficult position to play from a physical perspective, just as far as how good of an athlete you have to be in maybe all the sports, but I would say for sure in football. So you do have to have really good feet, really good hips. You got to be fast, just in straight line speed, but you've also got to be fast in and out of your breaks. I see all that with Marcus Gorey Jr., a really long player. And I think that, he should get some rotation this season. I'm hoping that Coach Martinez will rotate these young guys in, especially if we're up a whole bunch of points. Let's not redshirt these guys. There's no need to do it. It's the transfer portal era. Get guys in the game quickly like we've done with that defensive line. We see how deep they are because of it. Now, the last player, I believe, possibly is going to be Colin Brazzell, who is the younger brother of Chris Brazzell, who was the transfer from Tulane. That's a wide receiver. Now, Colin Brazzell is listed as a wide receiver. I don't know if that's where he's going to play, but I do feel like maybe his upside might be a little bit higher in that secondary, whether that's at corner because he's 6'2", he's really long. I saw some good hips. I saw some good feet from him on film, but he could also play star or safety. Because we did lose Christian Conyer, I feel like the staff will want to move Colin over to the secondary. We'll see what happens with that once he does get up on campus. I believe that he will be on campus this summer with everyone coming up here in the next couple of weeks. So let's go ahead. Well, first, let's make sure that we talk about how many players that we have inside of this room. Total right now is 11 to 12. We are anticipating that we'll keep most of these players. We might end up having 10 to 12 next season. And that is if Jalen McMurray and Christian Charles end up, having some great seasons and then they want to go on to the NFL. But outside of that, this room is very young. We should have a whole lot of talent coming back next season. So let's go ahead and take a look at recruiting. And let's start off with our current commits. Number one, Tyler Raymond, who we did have on this show. I did coach him when he was younger. I understand what he comes from, what his makeup is. Very tough. He's a dog. gritty, hard-nosed, going to be a hard worker on and off the field, and he's going to represent the University of Tennessee very well, as Volunteer fans will all be very proud of him over the next 3 to 4 seasons. Now, I also would say that he's got the size and the length of a player like Richard Sherman, but he's going to be better in man-to-man coverage. He's listed at 6'2". Talked to him, he said he's closer to 6'3", and he's very, very long. So love the way that he balled out in the state championship game. We said the same thing about Jeremiah T-Lander coming out of high school. Players who ball out at the highest levels, their games do translate well. So I think that Tyler Redmond has a good shot to get some early playing time as a true freshman in the 2025 class. Now, his teammate Dylan Lewis also has committed to our Volunteers. He's another 3-star. I love his game as well. He's another tall guy. He's a long guy, maybe not as long as Tyler Redmond is, but he is long. Looks really good in all the different coverages, whether it's man, whether it's zone. You can tell coming from Milton, both of these players are very well coached, and I do think that they will both end up earning a 4-star before it's all said and done. Now, on to the players that we're still targeting, that we're trying to bring home to Tennessee. Starting off with Timothy Merritt, who is a 3-star. He will be visiting us June the 14th. It sounds like it's down between us and Arkansas. I think that we can win this battle. He's another, taller, longer player that looks really good in man-to-man coverage. I really love his game as well. Hopefully we can get him to commit, maybe coming out of that visit coming up here in about a month. Now, the next player is going to be Darius Dixon, who's a 4-star. He's coming up on June the 14th. Right now it's between us and USC. Now, he's from California. And, does he want to leave from California, or, is he more willing to stay? That's going to be the biggest question, but he's definitely going to be a player that Tennessee is pushing to close out on, and hopefully we can. Now, the next player is going to be Onis Conanbanny. I hope I'm saying his name correctly. He's another 4-star cornerback. Going to be visiting us June the 21st. It's down between us and North Carolina. I like our chances if it really is down between us and North Carolina. Not quite sure how accurate that is at this point, but that is what it says on 3. The next player is going to be Terrian Grant. He's a 5-star. Now, he is committed to Purdue, but he's from Tennessee. I would just have to imagine that the staff is still going to be pursuing him. 6'4", playing cornerback. Yeah. I mean, you would want to have that, right? We covet that size. We covet that length. Hopefully, we are still pursuing him. If we are, I think that we could have a chance to close out on him, because Purdue isn't the best football program. Not quite sure why he's going there. He has to have some sort of family ties. But Tennessee can beat them out, whether it's NIL or, just anything else. Tennessee is a much, much better program. Come on down home, or stay home. You know what I'm saying? Come on down to Tennessee and have that opportunity to go up against the best of the best and, potentially turn yourself into a first-round draft pick. That would be my pitch if I'm on the staff. And the last player that we're going to be talking about is Shamari Earls, who did recently commit to USC Junior. He's another 4-star cornerback. Sounded like he loved Tennessee, so I was shocked that he chose South Carolina. Not quite sure why, but, hopefully we can get him to flip that commitment. I know that the staff is still pushing on him. No way that you give up on a guy that was that close to committing. In this class, I feel like we'll probably want to bring in maybe 3 to 4 cornerbacks, just because that room is still young, but you never know what's going to happen with the transfer portal. I feel like the most turnover happens in the transfer portal with the cornerbacks. So we've got to make sure that we're continuing to get in more and more bodies. And you can never really have too many cornerbacks, because they also play special teams. Like we said earlier in this video, they're going to be the best athletes on your team. And if you add more depth at cornerback, you are, getting a much more athletic team. But that's going to be it for this video. I hope that y'all enjoyed it. Please leave your thoughts and comments down in the comment section. And as always, thank you for sticking all the way to the end. Please make sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, share with your friends, family, and other volunteer fans. We'll see y'all on the next one. Thanks. Peace.